Welcome back to Smarter Marketing, where we dive deep into the world of digital marketing and share valuable insights to help you achieve greater success. I'm your host, Terry, and in today's episode, we're continuing our series on search engine optimization, SEO best practices. Specifically, today, we're going to be exploring technical SEO and your website's architecture. So, if you're ready to begin, let's get started. Before we go into the intricacies of technical SEO and your website's architecture, let's quickly recap the importance of SEO. Search engine optimization is optimizing your website and the elements used to put it together to improve the visibility and organic rankings, meaning that we have not paid for any of this. Just we match people searching, their results, and our website. By following these practices, you can attract more relevant traffic and potential customers to your website. Now let's focus on technical SEO and your site's architecture, which are vital components to your SEO strategy. Technical SEO involves optimizing those technical aspects of the website to ensure that search engines can crawl, understand, and index your content effectively. It's the foundation that supports all other SEO efforts. Site architecture, on the other hand, is referring to the way your website is structured and organized for users and the search engines. The first aspect of the technical side is the website's speed, how fast it loads on your screen, and the performance, meaning how if there are anything broken, if the images don't work, how much of it actually loads and works properly. A slow loading website can have a negative impact on the user experience. How many times have you been on a site, it not load, you got impatient and left? That's a bounce. So we don't want that to happen on your site. So we're going to talk about ways that you can impact making sure that it loads properly and fast. And it helps you in the search engine rank too. I get there, I find what I need, I stay. That improves your search rank. If you can optimize your website's speed, you can do this by minimizing your file sizes. So, an example of that would be if you use your iPhone and you take pictures with your iPhone pictures are going to be very, very massive in size. Consider finding a way that you can reduce the file size of the images. If you are looking at it on your phone and your website has a video that takes forever to load, maybe there are some things that happen before it opens the website, something flashy and fancy. Those things can hurt you. Even though they look good, they're going to cause your website to load slow. You can enable browser caching, which means that if this is some website that people go to on a regular basis, it will store some elements on your visitor's computer. So when they're looking at your site, some things automatically are just stored there, and it doesn't have to continually load every time all of the elements. And then another idea might be utilizing a content delivery network, a CDN. And you can look at those up if that's something that really causes you trouble a little deeper. But it is very important that you monitor your site's performance regularly and make those optimizations to enhance the speed, especially if you're making new content. Now, we just talked about looking at it on the mobile phone. So let's consider this factor of technical SEO. Not everything on the computer loads and stacks the same as on a phone. So most website builders will have another option to delete some elements to build it out a little bit differently within the mobile version. So you can have a mobile version of the same website that I would look at on a computer. And you can also prove this to your website building team or the other people in your marketing department that a majority of your internet users and people going to your website are going to be looking at this through their mobile phone. It's just a fact now. And it's very important and essential that your site responsiveness includes the optimal user experience on a phone. And that means tablets, phones, and computers should all be tested and checked regularly. So think about if your website is not responsive, meaning that it gets wider and skinnier and stacks nicely, that design technique should be modified. So test it, and that way you have a seamless experience across all the devices, including mobile. And it is very important to know how many people or percentage are looking at your website through a phone versus on the desktop. And if you're not building it for the phone, then you need to consider adding that in for the user experience, since that's what we're talking about today. Now we're going to talk about website crawlability. To ensure that search engines can properly crawl and index your website's pages, you should create a sitemap and then submit it to Google. So when we talk about website crawlability, just to break that down a little bit, that means that Google goes out and looks at all of the content on your site. And it looks at how you have your menu set up. It has how the submenus are set up, links inside your website to other pages inside your website. And if Google can send their little robot to crawl around, that's what they call it, crawl around through your site and go from page to page to page successfully, then your website crawlability is good. And the top level menu would be the most important thing. So as it starts to index, think of it as putting this into its filing cabinet of information. So Google's bot comes to your site, it looks around and says, what's your first page? What's your second page? What are we talking about here? And it builds these indexes, puts them on index cards, and puts them into their filing cabinet. Now, if it's clear and concise and to the point, and each page has a very, very, very prominent keyword phrase that has been set up properly in our SEO strategy, then Google has an easy time of pulling it back out of the filing cabinet when someone comes to do a Google search. So our job is to make sure that the Google search is very successful, telling Google what we have, and that's why we do this. So the website crawlability means that it's indexed your site, knows exactly what you're talking about, and is ready to show that organically in a search engine result page to the user. The site map is what I want you to consider creating and submitting, so that way Google already knows and has a structured overview of the content. So it helps the search engine understand you and your importance, your hierarchy of those pages. If you continually add new content to your website, I want you to continually update that sitemap to reflect those changes. The benefit of doing that is that Google's robot comes back and sees that there's new activity, there's fresh content. You've done a great job of getting this organized and ready for the Google bots to pull it out of their filing cabinet and show people in the search engines. So the page, the keyword phrase, the menu and the hierarchy, and your sitemap all help the Google robots to come to your site, find the information that's relevant, and spit that back out within a minute second back to the people who are searching on Google. That's why we do that. So now let's talk about pieces that are in there, and that would be the URL structure. The URL is the top address that you type in. So it would be www.insertyourwebsitehere.com. That URL structure is a very important role in your technical SEO. So if it gets silly looking or there's a random string of letters and numbers that don't make sense, have someone go inside there and start changing them. What I would like for you to do, and this is where you're going to be able to improve this to help the sitemap and people find your stuff easily is to change it, if it's just a random list of letters and numbers, to a clean and descriptive keyword rich link. So it would still be www.insertyourwebsitehere.com, but when I start going to pages, it would be .com/keyword phrase. And now that's another element that you have done on the technical side to show the Google bot that this page is keyword phrase 1. We've used that in the content down below, keyword phrase 1, the page title, the image alt text, the headings. So we have headings in there as well. And when anybody is out there searching for your keyword phrase 1, Google now sees that clearly as insert your website here.com/keyword phrase 1, and they match it up to the person who is doing the search. So we show up in the search engines. So we call those keyword friendly, user friendly, search engine friendly URLs. Another aspect of the technical side is canonicalization. Those tags help address issues with duplicate content. So we specify the preferred version of a web page, meaning those tags consolidate that duplicate content variations and prevent the search engine confusion. So we don't want to talk about keyword phrase 1 a couple of times in your website, or have different builds of a web page. It knows what it's supposed to do, and you can choose that in your options as a builder. And this helps to preserve the authority and relevance of your content. So you're not competing with yourself, essentially. We don't want you to compete with your own self. If you're talking in your entire website about whatever keyword phrase 1 happens to be for your business, you're going to be talking about it a lot. So we want to make sure that you don't start outranking yourself and diluting your authority. Schema markups are the next one that we're going to talk about. It's an advanced technique that allows you to provide additional content to search engines about your website's content. You can enhance the listings and the search engine results with things that are called rich snippets, and those include your ratings, reviews. Everybody knows about Google reviews, so that is something that can be shown in there, and your events details. And that helps your visibility and click-through rates, because there's going to be a lot more rich content that is shown in the search result, which is an amazing opportunity for you to take advantage of extra content. So if you've ever been on a search result page and you've seen all of those little extra things, start looking at the search results a little closer and look for those rich snippets like ratings, reviews, and details. And I want to encourage you to find some pages on your site that you could also do that with, and just plan on adding that to your strategy. Now let's touch on the site architecture, how it's built. A well-structured and organized website helps users and search engines navigate and understand your content a lot better. So think about it logically. The hierarchy of the pages helps to create that clear navigation in the menu. So your menu may just sound like a list of pages, but at the top of your website, you really should think about ranking them. And most of them go from left to right. So let's say home is your first one on the left, and then the about us or the contact page ends up being on the right. What happens in between there is the site architecture and that logical hierarchy. And it also includes drop-down menus. So if you have submenus that come down and even over, that is part of that logical navigation. I want you to create internal links to other pages in your site. And if you're talking about keyword phrase 1 and you have another page that also talks about something relatable, link it on the first page to page number 2. And that also is going to tell the Google robots when they come to do an index that this is relatable and this is also something that should be shown in addition to the others. So you're using those internal links to distribute authority throughout your website. So as often as you can, talk about that keyword phrase 1 for your page, for your website and your business. Link those internally to other articles and blogs and resources, downloadable PDFs, any of those assets that we talked about earlier. That promotes better user experience, easier crawling by the robots, and indexing happens a lot faster and more effective if you can do that as well. And then the 404 pages, pay attention to those, customize them so that way people don't get to a 404 page meaning, oh, sorry, we couldn't find that content, and then they leave your site. Use that page, build it and design it so that it says, oh, I'm sorry, we couldn't find that particular information, but here's a link to XYZ. You may have been looking for something else on our site. Go here instead. So it becomes a part of your site structure and an organized element in their search. They happen to type in the wrong thing or visit the wrong thing, but when they get there, they don't have to leave. They can find a link internally to something else on your site. So build that into your plan as well. And last, don't forget about website security. You should always see a padlock at the top left of your URL, that address that's www in the top, a padlock on the left-hand side, which means that it is implementing that secure browsing experience. HTTPS starts before we see the www. So https://www. Look to have that SSL set up with your hosting company and your domain company to provide that, so the people who click on your link to go to your website from the search engine aren't stopped with that warning page that says proceed with caution. This is not secure website. We want you to have a good experience and not have the traffic stopped. So make sure that the padlock shows up and that it is the secure version, the HTTPS. Search engines will prioritize those secure websites, meaning that you will get dinged and sent to the bottom, essentially, if you don't have that. So using it will positively impact your search engine rankings. And that's going to wrap up today's exploration of technical SEO and site architectures. If you can take care of some of these elements or all of them, hopefully you're going to establish a solid foundation for your SEO efforts and improve your user experience and enhance your website's performance in the search engine results. Thanks for joining me today in this episode of Smarter Marketing. I hope you found it valuable and actionable. Stay tuned to our next episode. We're going to continue our journey through SEO best practices. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a review if you enjoyed this video. Until next time, keep optimizing and keep growing your business.